Breakthrough doesn't happen by accident, it happens by decision. Welcome to Breakthrough Nation, the podcast where faith meets mindset, purpose meets action, and ordinary people discover extraordinary strength. This is a space for real conversations, honest growth, and practical wisdom for life, leadership, and transformation. If you're tired of being stuck, if you're ready to grow, heal, and move forward, you're in the right place. This is Breakthrough Nation. Let's begin.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another issue of Breakthrough Nation, the podcast. And today, I'm truly excited to have a friend that I made about 2 years ago, Dawn Stone. She is a remarkable lady. She is a therapist, motivational speaker, life coach, just a dynamic lady. And she's overcome a lot of things in life. So I want to bring her on right now. And here she is, Sister Dawn Stone. Welcome to the program, Dawn. Glad to have you here. How you doing this morning?
Doing well. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I said morning this afternoon, but
well, it might be morning somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Like what you say, what did the Jimmy Buffett say? It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Okay. When we met, we just hit it off immediately. I think we're just kindred spirits. I know that we're both very passionate about helping folks. And I just love your spirit and what you've done and what you've overcome. So what I'd like to do is, in this first segment, let's go ahead and let's talk about Dawn Stone and her obstacles that she's overcome and some of the things that you had to maneuver during your life.
Absolutely. So, look, I'm born and bred in Nashville, Tennessee. So we call that not only the Bible Belt, but it is the Truth South. And so growing up, I had, we came from humble beginnings, but I always had love and we were a God-fearing family. So had those two, and that's all I needed, right? Mm-hmm. But what I found is as I got older, I encountered a lot of different challenges. And so challenges were both personal and professional. So growing up, I was teased for being smart and called the blackest white girl that people knew. And so that got me into some really interesting conversations and a few fist fights. So, hey, don't charge my heart. I knew no better. But now as a conflict chick, I do things a lot differently. So one of the things that I found out most recently are a couple of diagnoses that actually helped me understand all the traumas that I've gone through. So being ADHD, that's been my entire life, and smart on top of that, that's why people would kind of come after me, right? But I would always use my wit, my humor, and my sheer intelligence to get out of things, right? So when I get into corporate America at the age of 18, I encountered my first bout of PTSD in the workplace. So I was told, people had socks older than me. I look like a kid. I'm such a baby. And who's going to listen to you? I was running a multi-billion-dollar business before I graduated from college. So when I was traveling for this company, I was 19 and 20 years old with an American Express with my name on it. So I think about all the encounters I had, even at the airport, going through customs. I was stopped every time, and they'd have to call the company to make sure I wasn't fraudulent and declaring who I was, even down to renting vehicles, right? So, fast forward, I spent 30 years working for other people before I went back 100% in my consultancy. But the thing that I did find about those traumas is that when I didn't hold good boundaries at work, that also followed me at home, right? So while I'm building my own business, working for other people's businesses and building these empires, I really found myself at the behind the fists and the words of people who challenged me consistently. I have 2 master's degrees. People still look me up and say, that can't be right. She has to lie. She must be lying. Even to this day, even my consultancy. So all that has added up to my really my physiological response to the workplace trauma, because I'm a recovering people pleaser. So that hurt me. So all you had to do tell me, Brother Wayne, is Dawn, you're not this. You don't act like a Christian. Dawn, you can't be smart. That stuff started pounding in my head, and it literally took a toll on my body. So in 2021, after securing my big position now in a nonprofit as one of the top leaders responsible for this lofty goal that no one else had ever reached, I had a stroke. I
Mm.
had a COVID and stress related stroke. And so, leading up until that point, every doctor I went to, just normal routine things, they'd say, why are you so stressed? What's going on? Why is your blood pressure this high? What is it? Can you quit your job? These were things that you know my creator was sending to people to send me the message, and I kept pushing through. So when you think about lying there in a box where it took me 69 days to get to where I could dress myself again, speak clearly, write and type my own stuff,
Mm.
and care for my kids, because I then also got a divorce during all this time and the pandemic. So it was like, okay, God, I hear you. I'm officially listening, but I had to go back and review everything that got me to this point.
I don't
So,
mean to, I'm going to stop you there for a second. I
yeah,
didn't know. You were divorced while you were recovering from a stroke?
yeah, all
Oh,
that. That
wow.
had been, it was during the pandemic. So, unfortunately, that spouse, that's my second divorce, Wayne. My
Mm-hmm.
first husband left me when I lost my job at Home Depot after giving birth to my now almost 20-year-old. And the second one divorced me once the pandemic hit, because he got violent. And that's when that PTSD kicked in again. And I was like, I can't live in fear. And my children witnessed that as well. So we're all in therapy. I can be
Mm-hmm.
very honest. It was like all the stuff I didn't see, but he felt trapped. And the thing is, it was the outside. But sometimes when we are in pain, the people who are closest to us get the brunt of that anger, anxiety, depression, all the things. And so that's where we were. So that was when it was heightened. And I
Mm-hmm.
literally almost lost my life. So until I lost my life, almost lost my life and my light, I did not realize how hard I was pushing to get to places that really were never designed for me, carrying loads that I didn't need to bear. My
Right.
own children, my first ex-husband, all of his kids and things, and then the job and the people I work for. I even had a very harmful boss who would literally talk crazy to me. She even shook her finger in my face. I was like, woman, I'm almost 50 years old. My mother doesn't even shake her finger in my face. And what makes you think that you can do that? Because
Mm-hmm.
you didn't want me to say something or do something. Just talk to the people, right? So that's the type of stuff I was experiencing. And over the last 32 years, that's a lot. So my
Yeah.
body just finally said, you know what? We'll stop you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, God has a way of making us stand still. You
Yeah.
know, bringing us to as the song says, it shocks you right back into reality. You know, at times. Now, when did you get that first diagnosis? You know, as you were growing up, were you diagnosed with any type of did you have any type of diagnosis, I should say, that you were aware of?
No, now here's the problem. Here's the problem. I grew up in a family that's full of secrets.
Mm.
Even
Mm.
from Africa all the way here,
Oh yeah.
um, there's a lot that's not said. And
Yes.
so the stories that we have of our native people just never got told. Everything's been under a blanket, in a corner of a damn room. And so my family never talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
Even from once they hit the South Carolina shores, no one ever talked about it. And so in a family that's conditioned to be that way, when people saw me as different, they just gave me more stuff to do. So back in the day, I would have been diagnosed with ADHD. But again, that was coming up in the 80s when all they were doing was giving kids Ritalin and they were zoning out.
Right.
So my parents, I'm going to say they did me a solid on that. I'm glad they didn't. But I decided to get diagnosed as an adult because I'm raising three neurodivergent children, and they were all tested because they too are highly intelligent, but a problem according to what we call neurotypical people, or
Mm-hmm.
folks that are not used to people who are in their what I call their genius zone.
Mm-hmm.
So, like one child has a processing disorder. My son is autistic and ADHD. And my oldest daughter suffers from acute anxiety and depression like nobody's business. So, she too is a people pleaser. She's the one that's probably closest to me. But
Mm-hmm.
when I got my diagnosis, Brother Wayne, she was so relieved. She was like, oh my goodness. So it's
Now I know.
me. Yeah. She's like,
Yeah.
it's not just me. And we all function at different levels.
Right.
So, my brain allows me to take in a lot of stuff and to be able to do things at a level that other people cannot operate in that level of dysfunction, right? My
Mm-hmm.
function a lot of times is in dysfunction. And what it did is made my coworkers literally hate me and try to disrupt my career trajectory.
Right.
Just like AI. See, I always tell people now that we have artificial intelligence, I said I've always been the first generation of AI. And so now here's the true competition. And
Yes.
people laugh, but they're like, oh my gosh, you're right, Dawn. You've always been able to think at a level that most people, you're already thinking about stuff and solving. And then people are like, hold up, you're going too fast.
Yeah.
So, Brother Wayne, they would tell me, you think too fast, you're going too fast. And I was like, who's measuring that?
I know. Now I know why I got that too, and I haven't been diagnosed, but talking with my daughter. My daughter was also, I have a son who's autistic, but my
Mm-hmm.
daughter is also ADHD, and she's an adult now, but she's very creative, extremely creative. She lives in Dallas, and she was the one that told me, she said, "Daddy, you got a touch, don't you?" She said,
Oh,
"I
yeah.
see, I see it. It's the way you think outside the box. You don't do things the way everybody else does, and for some reason, that seems to be kind of looked down upon by what you would call the normal or society at large. Where you when you begin to come up with solutions to things that they haven't even thought about. That
And
that's the
yeah.
that's the interesting thing. Now, you also uh, uh, said that you were uh, had a stroke. How did that? I mean, how did that? I mean, because you're young, so how did that present itself?
Well, I was in therapy for, like I told you, that second divorce and going through all this mess with my ex husband and his mistress, and them acting like I didn't know what was going on and that I was the crazy one with this new baby, by the way. I had a 2-year-old. He was 2 at that point.
Wow.
And I what happened, my therapist said, Dawn, you do not have to push through. And I said, but I do, Brittany. I mean, my kids, I'm responsible for them. I just lost all of my contracts, all of my jobs during the first year of the pandemic. So, like, literally the weekend they shut everything down in March,
Mm-hmm.
$5,000 was out of my account that fast, and then
Wow.
everything else for the next year and a half. And so I had to really build and rely on the conflict chick, like
Mm-hmm.
literally virtually. And so my body, I was taking my daughter to school because she had missed the bus, and I was like thankful to God because I technically could have had that stroke and been in my bed asleep. And within 2 hours, my doctor told me anything that was going on with my brain at that point would have been
Wow.
irreversible. And
Wow.
so if it would have been a super hard one, I would have been in trouble. But what was happening, my left side of my body started dragging,
Mm-hmm.
and my vision went really, really blur.
Yeah.
Okay. So I had what was called a TIA. So that's where you have 30-minute loss of oxygen to the brain. And so then they go in and have to figure out was there any bleeding, so they have to go look for the aneurysm and all that. But like my heart doctor said, she said, you basically had a heart attack in your head.
Yeah.
And so I found out after they did all the things, they said, well, Dawn, luckily and unluckily, you had one that was my long-term effect from the COVID, and it was induced by the stress in your life. So you have
Wow.
got to make a change. and hopefully you'll make a full recovery. So by the grace of God, I worked every angle, did my PT, my OT. They came to my house, worked with me every single day. I had my book, I worked my plan. And for the piece that other people don't realize is the speech and the memories, I would do storytelling. So some of that I started rehabbing myself and telling my own stories, because what was lost was my working memory, the short
Okay.
term memory.
Right.
And so I had to make sure my long term was still there. So that chamber, by the grace of God, was not impacted.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, that we thank God for that, and we will keep going with that. On the other side, I have to make a commercial break here. You know, we do have sponsors, so I gotta, as they say, pay the bills. But we'll be right back with Don Stone on Breakthrough Nation in just a moment.
At Eternal LLC Real Estate Services, we believe our character is our reputation. That's why we put people first in everything that we do. We are committed to helping you find a home that is not just a roof over your head, but a sanctuary that you can retreat to after a long day at work. We believe that everyone deserves the chance to achieve their dreams, whether that's buying their first home or starting a business. We're also proud to support our community through charitable initiatives because we believe in ordinary people doing extraordinary things.
I can't believe I've been driving past this every day. River Road Barbecue has been right here all along, serving up some of the most mouth-watering, slow-smoked meats in town. The brisket literally melts in your mouth, and those ribs fall off the bone tender with that perfect smoke ring. Everything's made fresh daily with their signature rubs and sauces that'll have you coming back again and again. River Road Barbecue, your new favorite local spot, also available to cater your event. Come taste what you've been driving past. River Road Barbecue 3017, River Road 502-592-7065, River Road Barbecue, real smoke, real food, real good. Tell them Wayne sent you.
Hi, my name is Ronielle Smith, owner of Black Coffee Cafe. Black Coffee is my labor of love. It was birthed out of the need for the community to have a space for coffee, culture, and business. It's a place for community leaders and members to come and facilitate change, network, and exchange ideas to help build a stronger, more thriving community. We offer premium coffee from the beautiful continent of Africa, teas, and a light lunch menu. We look forward to welcoming you at Black Coffee Cafe.
All right, and welcome back to Breakthrough Nation, the podcast. We are having an amazing conversation with an amazing lady, Dawn Stone, and we're going to bring her back in right now. And Dawn, welcome back. And you were talking about the stroke, and we talked about it a little bit during the break. But I'd like to move along a little and get to what you're doing now, because you are going all over doing all sorts of dynamic things, and I want to know where the conflict chick idea came from, because it is such a novel idea. It's a novel concept that I really would like to find out what's the foundation for that.
Okay, absolutely. So the conflict chick, I've been in business. It'll be 15 years, February of 2026.
Okay.
So I started this organization after working with men and women who are currently and formerly incarcerated through an organization called the Tennessee Prison Outreach Ministry. So I ended up getting a certificate to help them navigate conflict, and I stayed, loved it so much, I got a degree. So I created this business back in 2010 as the conflict and communication specialist, and I rebranded as the conflict chick in 2016 because I wanted to be more in alignment with what people were telling me that they needed. And so it made it real simple. And so I made it simple too, like, hey, the conflict chick. Okay. So what do you do? Conflict.
All right, that's awesome. That's awesome. So that now I know that you, because I met you at a conference.
Yes.
Where you were speaking, and you had a very dynamic presentation. And I know you do that all over, and you also do life coaching. And just tell us about what the conflict chick and some of the things that you're doing in the community and around the country now.
Yes. And so, as a conflict chick, I help high achieving women primarily and
Mhm.
organizations deal with culture transformation, emotional sustainability, and somatic frameworks. So, you're like, what does that mean, Dawn? I actually help leaders understand that their body is the first place that they will see the conflict or the stress,
Mhm.
how to navigate that intentionally and
Mhm.
with simple tools that you can use immediately, like breathing
Mhm.
and an assessment. So, like me having a Fitbit, it's part of it where I can monitor my body at in a second's time, right?
Mhm.
So that awareness will help prevent future strokes
Mhm.
and
Right.
allow me to understand what my body is doing because I used to not even wear a watch before
Okay.
that, right? Another thing that I do, I am not a licensed therapist. I am a paraprofessional in relational behavior therapy. So it's along in the same family as cognitive behavior therapists, but we're all under in the neuroscience space. So what we do is we deal with thoughts, actions, and behaviors. And so I haven't sat in for the extra one, but I appreciate it. A lot of people tell me, you got to be a therapist. No, my team, I have a couple of therapists that are on retainer with me that help me go in and do the work. But what I do is I work through what I call thought therapy.
Mhm.
So it's your thoughts that actually manifest into your behaviors and your
Yes.
actions, right?
Yes.
And those become the habits that you choose. So what we do is make you hyper aware. So if you think about emotional intelligence, make you aware. So awareness is one of the first things. You have to be
Yes, it is.
self-aware,
Yes,
right?
self-awareness. Yes.
Self-aware. You have to be socially aware. What's going on around you that's impacting you, the way you move, and the people you associate with, right? Then we
Mhm.
have relationships. What is your relational factor? How are you dealing with people in crowds and dealing with yourself internally when you are in these spaces and navigating relationships? And I'll tell you, technology has really hindered the latter two generations. And we've got another generation of leaders in 2030 that will hit the workplace called the Alpha generation at 18. And so the way that they navigate life, even like sitting on camera with us, might be a problem because they may be looking at their phone, right? So how do we do this? How do we manage those relationships? And then also there are two other pillars that we look at, especially when you look at the full suite of emotional intelligence. What's your motivation? Motivation
Mhm.
was added by the theorists in 2020 after this pandemic. What's the motivation to do better? What's
Right.
the motivation to take action?
Because
Right?
that fell by the wayside during the pandemic, didn't
Yeah.
it? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, a lot of folks just didn't want to go back to work.
Mm-hmm.
They just the initiative just died, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. It
So
did.
I didn't realize that was now a component because I was doing emotional intelligence this morning with my mentorship group,
Oh,
and
you were.
yeah, and we were talking about those. There was self-awareness, self-management,
Mm-hmm.
social awareness,
Yeah.
and relationship
Mm-hmm.
not relationship awareness and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is, you said something that I found so interesting, and that is we are so uh, into our careers
Mm-hmm.
and making stuff happen that we don't really pay attention to our own bodies.
Right. And your body. Mm-hmm.
And that's where it all begins. It all
Does.
begins and ends, like you said. The spiritual scripture tells us, as a man thinketh, so is he.
See.
And
Mm-hmm.
and my thoughts, I know that also it's in the Corinthians it tells us, we need to take every thought captive. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I understand that we have between 100,000, 80,000, 100,000 thoughts per day.
Yep.
So it's kind of hard to take every one of them captive, but we need to be more sensitive to where we are
Mm-hmm.
in that thought process, because I know that everybody has these crazy thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
but like you say, I don't have to act on those. you know
Right.
that's something I found out from my I just cleared 15 years clean in
Oh.
October the 3rd. And one of the things that I've learned through this process
Mm-hmm.
is being, first of all, aware, self-aware,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
also taking responsibility.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
I know that says that's something that you find that you have a lot of folks that want to, because we know we preachers, we laugh about the fact that it started in the garden when God said,
Mhm.
why are you the woman you gave me?
All right.
Go
You
blame her.
you gave me her.
But do you run into that to any of those in your travels?
Absolutely. So part of the challenge that I have in my business is that people really don't want transformative change.
Ooh,
People tend to want a band-aid or solution without action. And what do we know? Faith without works. Okay. All right.
yes, yes. Preach.
I don't even have to say it. Those that they
Mm-hmm.
know, and that's the challenge that we have. So when we look at people really wanting to change, and you take the four pillars of emotional intelligence and take the back is the motivation. Say that's the back of the chair. You're on a stool. So if you're not regulated, if you're not self-aware, if you don't have good relationships, if you don't have empathy,
Hmm.
that stool's gonna fall over. And
Yeah,
the thing is, without the motivation, you're not gonna be able to sit up, sit back, turn
yeah,
around, and do anything. So
right.
what are we really trying to do here? So I run into it and I actually built a curriculum around it. It's called accountability in action. So when
Okay.
I have these containers that I build within organizations, because they will bring me in to consult with them anywhere from 1 to 3 years on the average. There are a few
Wow.
that I got one that's at the 5 year mark,
Okay.
but they'll hit 5 years next year. But when you look at where the leaders are, the ones who don't want to move are the ones that will move themselves out. So if they see change and transformation coming, and I tell them, leaders, it's going to get rough before it gets better. So it's very much like, being out on the sea and you told to look at the look at God, look at Christ, walk to me. The
Right.
minute you look down and start looking and observing the sky and everything else, what happens? It
Yeah.
all fall,
Yeah.
you fall in.
You
And
go.
so that's the same thing that we have. If you're not accountable and you're not aware, if you refuse to do the things you see as they're uncovered, you know what that's called, cognitive dissonance.
Mm.
That's where I see something, I know something,
But
but I
do
choose
nothing.
not to do anything about it.
Right.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we see that all over our country today.
Hmm.
We see injustice. We
Yeah.
see all sorts of different types of maladies, political, social, economic,
Absolutely.
and we say nothing. You
Yeah.
know, that's
Yeah.
not all of us. Now, I'm not going to put everybody in. I'm not going to generalize like that, but the powers that be, that's amazing. They
I need to be up there now. Now they look. They might try to arrest your sister. Y'all just make sure you have bail money because I can do nothing but tell the truth, right? So
amen.
authentic leadership means I own my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm aware of it. It goes back to the emotional intelligence chair. I gotta have four stool legs and a
Mm-hmm.
back.
Right.
And so I need y'all to have my back. But I,
Well,
I, I agree. And I have had elected officials, Brother Wayne, as clients.
I was
And
gonna. That was where I was headed.
yeah, I
Okay.
have. And they have had the ones I've had
Mm-hmm.
two lately. Okay, we're gonna say lately. And they have had death threats.
Oh
This is since the pandemic. So the fact that an elected official that I know it's painful. Like when I left, I remember the last time I was in her office, I left the office, I cried
wow. Mm.
because I could not imagine going in to work every day knowing that my person across the aisle really went online and did a cyber attack and now you're getting death threats every day via email, phone, and
Mm-hmm.
some people sometimes they come on up. But luckily, that person is faith forward and also a licensed carrier, and that's all I'm gonna say.
All right.
But you think about that, it's like, wow, where it was 2024, 2025, experiencing stuff like this.
Now, I guess the other thing that I'm looking at here is
Mm-hmm.
when you look at society at large,
Mm-hmm.
do you see that all of the stressors that are it just it, what's the word I'm looking for? But there's prevalent
Mm-hmm.
in our society. Do you think that we are headed for uh, some serious issues? Because you mentioned, and I see this, with kids. I remember a few years ago, my daughter and her cousin were sitting in the room together, and they were laughing. And I looked at them and said, "Are you two texting each other?" They're sitting next to each other, but they're
Yeah,
texting each other. So,
absolutely.
I think that don't get me wrong. I'm a nerd. I got my undergrad degree is in computer science, and my
Yes.
master's is in divinity. But I'm a nerd at heart. I tell folks all the time, I say I'm an OG. See what said I'm original geek. Okay.
Right. That's
So,
it.
do you think that it's a curse and a blessing? I guess is what I'm trying
Mm-hmm.
to say.
It is. So the ethical use of tech is going to be very important. And I think 2026 is going to be the first year that we've really got to make some changes in how we tend to communicate and tend to engage
Okay.
in the work, right? Because if you've seen over the last 3 years, artificial intelligence, large language models, all these things have started to big data basically
Yes.
is consuming our thoughts, our actions, our accounts. It's eliminating jobs. Okay.
Mhm.
And so the thing that we've got to do is return to humanity. We have to humanize people and also honor people, right?
Okay.
So where there is no solidarity in the way that we move and the way that we operate and the stories we choose to tell and the actions we choose to take, the people will perish.
Mm.
And so we are seeing some of that. I mean, you can look right now, a lot of people are scrambling here at the end of this year, those who are living in the United States, basically worried about healthcare,
Oh yeah.
right? And so remember, this gap isn't the first gap. If you recall, several years back, a couple of administrations ago, do the math, um, there was another push to get everyone out. There's a book called um, Dying While White. I think that's the name of the book. Great
Mm.
book because what it does, it's basically it takes Obama's first administration and it takes a look at all the people who decided to opt, all of the white people who decided to opt out of healthcare because it was created by a black man, and the number of people who died in rural and southern areas that were very much around that political line.
Mm.
So
Mm.
just imagine you're going to say, oh, hey, I don't need those eye drops. I don't need that medicine because I don't believe in the person who made it. Right. And so that was the first iteration of this type of humanity trope that we're dealing with. It's like,
Mhm.
who defines humanity? I mean, we're all created in God's image, right?
Right.
So it means all of us are one. But until we really start acting as one, we're going to be in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. A house divided. I know.
Mhm.
Yeah. That is so true. Well, we have run out of time here, Don. I could keep talking to you for
Yes.
hours, but unfortunately, we have to end this. But if people want to get in touch with you or want to be counseled by you, how can they reach you?
They can reach me on my social media handles at The Conflict Chick. I am on everything from TikTok to LinkedIn. I have a YouTube page, all under my name and brand. And if you are a woman leader who is neurodivergent, high achieving, exhausted, I have a total community for us over on Facebook called the Unburdened Community.
I
So
think
come look us up.
I think I'm going to look that up. Definitely. Hey, Don, it's been a pleasure. I want to thank you once again, and God bless you, my friend, and
Thank
God
you.
bless all of your endeavors going forward. And I hope to talk to you again very soon.
Absolutely. Thank you. And have an amazing day or
You too.
night.
Yes, and we're clear. Okay, my associate minister keeps calling me.
Yes, you better go. Yeah,
I have to turn my phone off. But hey, babe, thank you so much. You go ahead and
you're welcome.
Take
welcome.
care of that family, and I will talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brother Wayne. We'll
All right,
see you.
all right, bye bye.
Bye.
Are you searching for a speaker who understands the intersection of faith and recovery? Wayne Shemwell's journey is one of redemption, healing, and unshakable purpose. With a background in addiction and 15 years in recovery and a heart rooted in ministry, Wayne speaks to the soul of every audience. He brings real stories, real struggle, real hope. From trauma recovery to spiritual transformation, his message breaks barriers and builds bridges. Wayne's not just a speaker, he's a vessel of restoration, shaped by experience and driven by a divine calling. Whether it's a recovery conference or a faith-based event, his presence will ignite reflection, compassion, and change. If your event needs more than just motivation, if it needs breakthrough, it needs Wayne Shemwell.